Fiancée cheats on me with friend that introduced us, plus update. Original post. Hey there, I am a 27, male, and was engaged to Shay, 29, for a year, dating for 2 years, and friends for a year. All in all, she has been in my life for the past 4 years or so. I met her through one of my best friends at the time, Sam, whom I have known since my school days. So to start this off, how I was introduced to Shay was during our yearly planning for Electric Daisy Carnival, in which Sam had told me he had one more person he would like to bring so we could make sure we had the right amount of tickets. I immediately thought he had finally found a girl for himself, but he waved me off, saying he thought I would really like her and that we would really hit it off, with a little wink at the end. So he introduces me to her a few weeks before the trip, and I would say there was an initial attraction, the kind you get where you want to introduce her to your mother. She was gorgeous, funny, with similar interests. However, she didn't seem interested in me that way, or at least that was the vibe I got. Anyway, fast forward a couple of months and Shay and I start hanging out by ourselves, and she even introduces me to her friend circle. After about a year of this, Sam informs me his job promotion required him to move across the country and that he was going forward with it. I was sad he was moving, but we would keep in touch and planned on taking trips yearly like usual. Almost within 24 hours of this news, Shay had pulled me aside and said that she had developed feelings for me over the last year and couldn't handle keeping it in any longer, and that she was just worried I didn't feel the same way. I was shocked, as I couldn't even sense a change in her attitude toward me, like I would imagine I would catch her looking at me more often or trying to get my attention, but nothing. I didn't really care though. To me, it was bad news and good news leveling out the world. I immediately told Sam about the news, and this is where I really didn't understand the reaction I got. He seemed shocked about it, dismissive even. Asking things like, "Are you sure that's what she said?" And after about 10 minutes he said he was happy for me and that it was about time we got together. The next 3 years are pretty uneventful when it comes to the cheating stuff. But during this time, Shay and I grew so attached to each other that I couldn't imagine life without her. We moved in together, and we were the couple our families would idolize. Her sisters would make jokes that how I looked at Shay was how their husbands and boyfriends looked at their Xboxes. Whenever Shay was away from town, either visiting family or going on work-related overnight assignments, she would FaceTime me until we fell asleep, and I would be woken up by the sound of her snoring through the phone in the morning. She would hate it when I teased her by calling her my alarm clock. I was truly happy. I had proposed to her during one of our family get-togethers for Thanksgiving, which she accepted. When she said yes, I don't think there is a way to feel more joy than I did in that moment. And I rode that feeling for about another year or so. Then, in our group chat, Sam announced he was now single. The girl he had been dating since moving away had broken up with him. At the time, I felt so bad for him because he was the guy that always looked out for me, even set me up with the woman I thought I was going to marry and live out my life loving. It felt like things were unfair for him, honestly. But things hit the fan when we had our next yearly vacation. When planning our trip, we usually just get one big Airbnb for the Electric Daisy Carnival vacation and just split the cost. But this year Sam wanted to get his own place, which I understood. He could leave at any time if he wasn't enjoying himself, and if he found someone to bring back, they could have some privacy. But things with Shay almost 180'd as soon as she saw Sam. She would hardly look at me and was always hovering around him. It felt like how she treated me before we started dating. Throughout the day, I was just a bit confused and shocked. Things just weren't right. I kept telling myself that they were just good friends and that she was trying to comfort him because she knew he had just gotten out of a serious relationship. But then came the first night. I noticed both of them weren't at the house and were missing. So I called her to see what was going on, and she sent me to voicemail. In the 3 years of officially being together, she had never sent me to voicemail. Before I started getting in my own head and panicking, I asked around if anyone knew where Shay went and if she just couldn't answer her phone, but neither my friends nor hers knew anything. After about 5 minutes, I got a text from her reading, "Sorry babe, couldn't answer the phone, emergency with my mom, had to leave." I wish I had just stopped to think about the situation and not been an idiot, but I instantly went into protect and comfort mode. I said something like, "OMG, I hope it isn't serious, we can leave and fly out ASAP." She said there wasn't any need for that as she was already on the way and that Sam was taking her up to go see her. In hindsight, there were so many red flags and obvious lies. But at the time, I had the girl I loved, the one who couldn't sleep if I wasn't present in some way, and the guy I had known basically my whole life, the one who introduced me to her, tag-teaming me on how everything was fine and this was normal behavior. After about an hour, the group chat goes off with an alert. I open it up and there is a picture of them kissing, caption, "You were right, old flames don't die." Then the spam comes in the group chat saying delete this or wrong chat hundreds of times by some of her friends. Everything goes silent in the house, and everyone just starts looking at me. My mind was racing, trying to rationalize what I had just seen. I made up the most ridiculous explanations, like someone photoshopped it and hacked her account, or that it was some camera filter that just made it look like they were kissing. I screenshotted it and was even examining the fingers on the hands to see if it was a fake photo. But eventually, I had to accept the reality of what was going on. It was probably intended for a specific friend she had been talking to about this, and she accidentally sent it to the group chat. As soon as the photo was deleted by Shay, she called, asking if I was okay and if I had seen the picture that got deleted in the group chat. I played dumb and asked, "What picture? Did you send something to me?" She said she didn't, and was just wondering what the picture was before it got removed, and that it wasn't a big deal, I should just forget about it. Shay then informed me she was just checking in but was tired, so she was gonna go, followed by, "I love you." I couldn't bring myself to respond and just ended the call. I wasn't sure what to do, but I knew I needed to leave. So I got up and left, with some people giving me a "that's messed up" or a "sorry bro" as I walked out the door. I ended up flying back home as soon as I could. I had to talk myself out of forgiving her so many times. I wasn't sure what I needed to do, but I knew if I met her face to face and gave her a chance to explain, I would have taken her back. So I started doing things to avoid seeing her again. I went and got new locks for the house and began packing all of her stuff. I outright owned the place we were living in, and she wasn't my wife yet and had no claim to the property. So I figured I would move her stuff out and change the locks. I mailed her belongings to her mom's house and was in the process of texting her that we were done when one of her friends sent me information that shed a bit of light on why things happened. Apparently, Sam and Shay used to have this weird on and off dating that they referred to as a toxic cycle, and they were just happy she finally found someone that made her happy. I cut ties with both of them. The last message I sent to Shay was letting her know that she no longer lived with me. I was sending her belongings to her mom's house, she could keep the engagement ring, and we were done. I told her to keep the ring because I didn't want anything to do with it at that point. I didn't want to see it, I didn't want to return it, I didn't want the money from selling it, everything about that ring was tainted now. She tried calling hundreds of times and sent so many texts it felt like I could have made a book out of it all. She never got mad at me though, which almost made it worse. She just kept apologizing, saying how dumb she was, and even blamed her period, saying it was making her emotional and she couldn't think straight. But I ignored everything. Surprisingly, there was actually radio silence from her end for the next couple of weeks. Then one day, she just showed up knocking on my door. I didn't go to the door, I just talked to her through my doorbell and asked what she wanted. She begged me to let her in and just talk about what happened. I told her that wasn't happening. She broke down crying, talking about how sorry she was and that Sam wasn't gonna let her stay with him, and she had nowhere else to go. She said we could just forget the past couple of weeks, enjoy the rest of our lives together, and that it was just a mistake. After hearing this, I couldn't contain myself anymore and really educated her on what she did to me. I told her I would never be able to trust her or anyone else ever again, because if she could do this to me, then anyone could. I told her it wasn't just the past couple of weeks that were tainted, it was everything. All the memories of the cute little quirks she had, the way she would scrunch her nose before sneezing, all the little things I loved about her were now painful memories that would hurt every time I thought about them. That she had hurt me in a way I didn't think was possible. So I asked her, "So you want me to feel like that for the rest of my life?" But of course, she tried convincing me that things would be different and that we could go back to how things were, and that over time I could love her again. I said maybe that was true, that I could love her again one day, but I don't deserve to have to live day by day next to the girl who shattered my trust and shattered my heart, wondering if today would be that day. And that if she ever actually cared for me in the slightest, she would just stop trying and leave. She sat there for another 30 minutes or so, crying, but eventually left. A different member of her family would call every other day apologizing for Shay and what she did. At least she was being honest about why things happened. And no, I didn't forget about Sam. That guy never even tried to reach out to me to apologize or anything. He just left the group chats and I never heard from him again. To this day, I still don't understand why he would invite his fling and then try to get me interested in her, just to cheat with her afterwards. I don't think I'll ever know. As for me, I'm doing okay. I still get the urge to call Shay from time to time, but those moments are getting fewer and less intense. Reading the top comments before the update. So how long ago did you split? You sound pretty calm. Some people post weird rants on here and their heads are such a mess they don't make sense. Yeah, I understand that. It's been roughly 3 months. I didn't think I made much sense with how much info I had to convey, but I'd be lying if I didn't waste all day here writing it. But it was kind of therapeutic writing it all down. And thank you. Those 2 weeks when she wasn't trying to reach you were a sex fest with Sam until he got tired of her crap and kicked her to the curb. She was hoping that if she put out enough, Sam would stick around. You didn't matter until Sam moved on. You're a backup plan, a fail-safe. If Sam kept her around, then she wouldn't be crying on your doorstep. Crocodile tears. Also, she might be able to repair her reputation if you took her back. Yeah, that possibility crossed my mind. I just wasn't sure if that was the case, so I didn't accuse her of it. I was more so hoping she was actually trying to give me space and eventually caved, but who knows? Did you ever find out who the picture was originally meant for? Do you think someone in your friend group knew what was happening and was meant to get that photo? It would be nice to know who didn't have your back and wasn't a friend at all. You made the right choice to end things. You will already carry this for a long time, but if you stayed with her it would destroy you. Good luck, better days. To be honest, I didn't really care. I didn't have any strong relationships with any of her friends at the time, so I didn't care. I doubt it was one of my friends, as they interacted, but she didn't really bond with any of them. But I guess it could have been to one of her sisters as well, though I just can't picture that. But what do I know? Not the best judge of character apparently. I don't talk to any of her friends or family anymore, and I just want to get past it, so I probably won't dig into it. Sorry about that. But thanks for the well wishes. Take it from someone who did all the wrong things after being cheated on, keeping contact, talking, letting them drag me along for a solid year before I finally realized the truth. There is absolutely nothing better you could have done than go radio silent. I'm so jealous of people who had the foresight to do that. Sorry to hear that. But it's absolutely the hardest thing I've ever had to do, and it's taking willpower and strength I didn't know I had. I could easily have gone down the same road you did, and part of me thinks I probably would have been happier if I did. But thank you, just keeping on one day at a time. Update. Thank you all for the well wishes and your opinions on the matter. You definitely stated some things I hadn't considered. The reason I made this post was because my anniversary was coming up and I just wasn't sure if I could trust my own thoughts, if I was being selfish or romanticizing things. I'm still not sure, to be honest. But I do have an update. I spoke with Shay's mom today. She also knew it was getting around that time and wanted to make sure I was okay. I was honest with her that things were still rough for me. She didn't bring up Shay at all while we talked, so I think she was genuinely concerned about me. I actually asked first about how Shay was doing, and she tried avoiding the subject, telling me it didn't really matter and that I should focus on myself. Great lady. But I couldn't let it go, so she eventually told me Shay had moved back in with them and that she started going to therapy. Her mom told me she just hasn't been the same since. It's been hard to get her to eat or do anything other than sit in her room spiraling. As much as I hate to admit this, hearing about her being in such a state hurt me. I just wanted to hold her and tell her everything would be okay. I'm hopeless. I really do appreciate all the advice and reinforcement from people who have been in similar situations and felt comfortable enough to share with everyone, myself included. I didn't think this was going to be an ongoing event, which is part of the reason I felt comfortable posting in the first place. I am going to be pausing the updates on here, as a lot of the comments helped me understand that regardless of how I feel, I should probably see a therapist about everything. This post has really been time-consuming for me, trying to answer everyone's questions or thank them for their contributions, so I just don't believe I'll be able to keep everything going. But again, I do really appreciate everyone taking the time out of their day to help a stranger out on the internet. Thanks, all. And in case you don't hear from me again, then everything worked out somehow. Love you all. On to the next story. I found out my husband has a secret group chat where he calls me the warden. I am 30, my husband is 32. We have been married 4 years. Last weekend he left his iPad unlocked and I accidentally saw his notifications. Turns out he and 3 of his closest friends have a private group chat where they joke about their wives. Except it wasn't funny. My husband calls me the warden. Screenshots of my texts reminding him to pick up groceries. Comments like the warden won't let me stay out late tonight. Even jokes about me checking his phone. The thing is, I never once told him he couldn't go out. I never demanded to see his phone. All those things he wrote were lies just to look cool in front of his friends. When I confronted him, he laughed and said it's just guy humor and I was being too sensitive. But I can't stop thinking that my husband would rather lie about me than just admit to his friends that we have a normal relationship. Now I don't know what hurts more, the fact that he called me names, or the fact that he needed to invent a controlling version of me to keep up his image. Just a heads up, an ex did this, and it turned out he would cheat on me whenever he hung out with those same guys. This was to cover his cheating as I was so horrible to be around that they never ratted him out. This is exactly what I came here to say. Hasn't happened to me personally, but one of my brother's friends basically did this exact thing. He made out like his wife was a terrible, reprehensible, awful woman that treated him like hot garbage, and he would cheat on her. In the end, it turned out that she was actually really quite wonderful, never tried to minimize his social life outside of her, basically did everything for him, and it was all just a ruse for him to act like a total a-hole around his friends. And his friends never went to her about it. That's the way my ex-husband was. He always said I wouldn't let him do anything and how mean I was. He would be on the phone with someone, and if I asked a question, he would scream at me and ask why I had to be such a bitch, but he did it to make himself look better. He had a friend come into town one time, and when the friend asked if he could hang out, I said I'd be off work in an hour. The friend said, "Why can't you find a babysitter?" I'm like, LOL, it's his kids, he can find a sitter too. I'm at work.